I was pruning the white roses when Olivia's party planning committee arrived. From behind the carefully manicured hedges, I watched my stepdaughter lead her friends through the grand entrance of Rose Gardens estate, their designer heels clicking against the historic cobblestones I personally restored. "This is absolutely perfect," gushed her best friend Charlotte. "I can't believe you actually got a reservation. There's like a 3-year waiting list." "Daddy pulled some strings," Olivia preened. "He knows everyone who matters in this city." If she only knew that her father had simply asked his wife at breakfast, "Honey, Olivia wants rose gardens for her graduation party. Is that possible?" "Of course," I'd said, not looking up from my gardening plans. "I'll make sure she gets the full tour today. I've been tending these gardens for 20 years, long before I married Richard." The estate had been crumbling when I bought it, using the money from my first successful tech company. While other wealthy women collected art or jewelry, I collected forgotten places and brought them back to life. "Mrs. Rose is so mysterious," Charlotte continued. "They say she never appears in public, just lies alone in that gorgeous mansion, counting her millions." I smiled, thinking of my small cottage on the grounds where I actually lived. The mansion was for events only, though no one knew that except my staff. "Whatever." Olivia waved her hand dismissively, as long as she approved our reservation. "Now, we need to make sure everything is perfect. None of those tacky decorations people usually use." Miss Olivia, Maria, my head of events, approached the group. "Your father asked me to personally handle your tour today." "Perfect. First, we need to discuss the guest list. Obviously, no staff or service people allowed to attend. I don't want anyone's parents who work in retail or restaurants or whatever ruining the photos." I felt Maria's eyes flick to where I stood among the roses. She knew exactly who I was, all my staff did. They also knew why I chose to work alongside them regularly, wearing the same simple black uniform they did. "Speaking of staff," Olivia continued, "can you make sure that gardener woman isn't here that day? You know, the one who's always in the rose garden. She's actually my dad's new wife, and she's so embarrassing. Thinks she knows everything about flowers just because she works here." "Your stepmother works here." Charlotte's eyes widened. "Yeah, it's mortifying. She probably lied her way into the job to get close to rich people. That's how she trapped my dad." If she'd ever bothered to Google her new stepmother's name, she'd have found plenty of articles about the tech entrepreneur who mysteriously disappeared from public life 10 years ago to pursue her passion for historic preservation. But Olivia had never even asked what I did before marrying her father. "Miss Olivia," Maria's voice was carefully neutral, "perhaps we should discuss the venue's policies. First, I need security to remove that woman if she tries to come in for the party." Olivia interrupted. "I already told her she's not invited, but you know how the help can be. So presumptuous." That's when I stepped out from behind the roses, pruning shears still in hand. "Good morning, ladies." "Oh God," Olivia rolled her eyes. "What are you doing here? Don't you have leaves to rake or something?" "Actually, I'm here to approve any special requests for your party. As the owner, I like to handle VIP events personally." The silence that followed was broken only by the gentle fountain I'd imported from Tuscany. "Owner?" Charlotte squeaked. "That's ridiculous," Olivia scoffed. "Mrs. Rose owns this place." "Yes," I smiled, extending my soil-stained hand. "Isabella Martinez Rose. Though you've just been calling me that gardener woman for the past year." The color drained from Olivia's face. "No, you're lying. Daddy would have told me. Your father respected my privacy as I asked him to. I prefer to work with my hands, to know every inch of these gardens personally. But perhaps it's time for proper introductions." Maria, bless her, chose that moment to step forward. "Mrs. Rose, shall I show them the private rose garden? The one you designed for your stepdaughter's graduation?" I'd spent months on that garden, selecting each variety to match Olivia's favorite colors, arranging them in a pattern that would look stunning in photos. Another surprise ruined by prejudice. "I don't think that will be necessary," I said quietly. "Miss Olivia has made her feelings about the help quite clear." "This is insane." Olivia's voice rose. "I'm calling Daddy right now. This has to be some kind of sick joke." "Go ahead," I nodded. "He's actually in my office, reviewing the contract you insisted on having your party planner sign." Charlotte and the other girls were already backing away, their phones undoubtedly burning up with texts about the scandal unfolding in front of them. "You've ruined everything." Olivia screamed. This was supposed to be perfect. No, sweetheart, I sighed. You did that yourself the moment you decided some people were beneath you because of their work. I didn't? That's not what you meant. I gestured to Maria. Should we replay what you said about staff members' children? About retail workers' families? About your own stepmother? Tears started streaming down her face, smearing expensive makeup. Why didn't you tell me? Would it have changed how you treat people who work for a living? Would knowing I'm wealthy make me more worthy of respect? That's not fair. Neither is judging people based on their jobs. Neither is banning your father's wife from your graduation celebration because you're ashamed of honest work. Richard appeared then, his face grim. I heard everything, Olivia. Daddy, she tricked us. No, he said firmly. She showed us exactly who you've become, and I've never been more disappointed. The silence that followed was heavy with more than just humidity in the Miami air. The party is obviously canceled, Richard continued. Unless, Olivia hiccuped through her tears. I stepped forward, brushing soil from my hands. Unless you're willing to learn why I choose to work in these gardens, why every member of my staff is family to me, why true worth has nothing to do with designer labels or trust funds. How? By working here, every day until graduation. Learning every job, from cleaning bathrooms to arranging flowers. Earning your party instead of demanding it. That's insane. I can't. My friends. We'll see exactly who you choose to be, Richard finished. A spoiled child who thinks she's too good for honest work or someone worthy of celebrating in this beautiful place. 2 weeks into her garden education, as Richard called it, Olivia stood in the estate's grand kitchen at 5 a.m., learning to bake the signature rose-flavored macarons we served at events. Your hands are shaking, I observed, watching her carefully pipe the delicate cookies. They hurt, she admitted, from the thorns yesterday. She'd spent the previous day helping me prune the climbing roses, learning the hard way that even the most beautiful things require careful handling. The band-aids on her fingers were a stark contrast to her previously perfect manicures. You know, I said, adjusting her piping technique, when I first bought this place, my hands looked just like yours. Soft, uncooled, unused to real work. Why did you buy it? She asked, genuinely curious for the first time. If you were already rich from your tech company. Because beauty needs protecting, I replied simply. This estate was going to be demolished for condominiums. 300 years of history and gardens just gone. Sometimes the most valuable things aren't the most profitable. She was quiet for a moment, concentrating on her piping. Like the scholarship program? I smiled, pleased she'd noticed. Half our staff's children attended private schools or colleges on Rose Garden scholarships, including Maria's daughter, who was now at Yale. Charlotte's not speaking to me anymore, Olivia said suddenly. None of them are. They said I'm contaminated now by having to work. And how does that make you feel? Angry, but not at them, exactly. More at myself for being like that too. The kitchen filled with the sweet scent of baking as the first batch of macarons went into the oven. Through the windows we could see the garden staff arriving, ready to start their day. They all know, don't they? Olivia watched them gather for morning assignments. Who you really are? They know exactly who I am, I corrected. Someone who works beside them, who respects their skills, who trusts them with this estate's legacy. The money? That's just numbers in a bank account. Is that why you still live in the cottage instead of the mansion? I live in the cottage because it's home. Because I can step right into the gardens first thing in the morning. Because wealth isn't about showing off. It's about having the freedom to live exactly as you choose. She pulled the perfectly baked macarons from the oven, her face reflecting pride in something she created with her own hands. There's a wedding here this weekend, I mentioned casually. The bride is a former scholarship recipient. Now she's a surgeon. Really? Really, she met her fiancé here too. He was working summers as a groundskeeper to pay for medical school. I paused. Would you like to help coordinate their event? Her eyes widened. But I don't know enough yet. You know more than you did 2 weeks ago. About the gardens, about the kitchen, about people. I smiled. About yourself. Later that afternoon, I found her in the rose garden I designed for her graduation, sitting quietly among the blooms. They're all different, she said as I approached. I never noticed before. Each type of rose has its own personality, its own needs. Like people, I agreed, settling beside her. I'm sorry, she whispered. For everything I said. For who I was. I know. Can I still have my party here? That depends, I said carefully. What kind of party do you want now? She thought for a moment. One that celebrates everyone who makes this place magical. Where Maria's daughter can come home from meal and be proud of her mom. Where the groundskeeper's kids can dress up and dance. Where no one feels less. And your old friends, if they come, great. If not, she touched a rose petal gently. Maybe I need to cultivate different friendships. Like these gardens, choose what grows here carefully. I pulled out my phone and showed her the design I'd been working on. A new layout for her garden, incorporating elements from every part of the estate she'd worked in over the past weeks. The roses here, I pointed, are the same variety you learned to prune. The herbs there are what you've been using in the kitchen. The fountain is smaller than the main one, but you learned to maintain the pumps. It's perfect, she breathed, but I haven't earned it yet. No, I agreed. But for the first time, you understand what earning means. That's a good place to start. Sometimes the most beautiful gardens grow from the hardest soil, and sometimes the finest blooms come from careful pruning of our own thorny attitudes. Now, I stood up, brushing dirt from my uniform, ready to learn about event lighting. The wedding couple will be here in an hour to discuss their plans. She jumped up, straightening her own matching uniform with new pride. Lead the way, Mrs. Rose. Call me Isabella, I smiled. Or even better, call me Mom. On the morning of Olivia's graduation party, I found her already in the gardens at dawn, checking each rose personally, just as I'd taught her. Her once manicured hands now bore the honorable scars of 3 months' hard work, and her designer dress had been replaced by our staff uniform. Everything's perfect, I assured her, joining her inspection. You've made sure of that. I just want them all to see it, she said softly, not just the beauty, but the love that goes into every detail. The guest list had changed dramatically from her original plan. Gone were many of the society names, replaced by the families of Rose Garden staff. Charlotte and her circle had declined their invitations, unable to comprehend Olivia's transformation from society princess to someone who now knew the name of every gardener's child. Your father's here. I nodded toward the main house, where Richard stood watching us with proud tears in his eyes. He's brought your graduation robes. Can I wear them over my uniform? She asked. I want everyone to see that I'm proud to be part of the staff. 3 months ago, such a request would have been unthinkable. Now it felt like the most natural thing in the world. The party itself was unlike anything Rose Gardens had ever seen. Olivia had insisted on working alongside the staff, pausing only for photographs and quick hugs. She served macarons she'd baked herself, arranged flowers she'd grown from seedlings, and made sure every scholarship child felt like royalty. Try this, she urged, offering a tray of appetizers to Maria's daughter Emily, home from Yale. I learned the recipe from your mom. Emily, who'd once served at events here herself, smiled knowingly. The secret ingredient is love, right? And a little bit of dirt under your nails, Olivia laughed, showing her working hands proudly. During the evening speeches, Richard stood to address the gathered crowd. 3 months ago, I watched my daughter learn the hardest lesson of her life. That true value isn't in what you own, but in what you give. She learned it from the most remarkable woman I know, who could have lived in luxury but chose to live in service. I felt Olivia squeeze my hand as her father continued. My wife Isabella didn't just restore these gardens. She restored hearts, hopes, and dreams. And now she's helped restore something even more precious, my daughter's soul. Olivia stepped up to the microphone next, still in her uniform and graduation robes. 3 months ago, I thought this party would be about showing off my privilege. Today, it's about celebrating my education, not just the one I got in school, but the one I got right here in these gardens. She gestured to the staff gathered around. These people aren't just employees, they're family. Their children aren't just scholarship recipients, they're the future. And this place isn't just a venue, it's a testament to what happens when someone with means chooses to create opportunity instead of exclusivity. Looking directly at me, she continued, my stepmother could have just been Mrs. Rose, the mysterious millionaire. Instead, she chose to be Isabella, the gardener who taught me that every flower needs tending, every person needs nurturing, and every privilege comes with responsibility. The celebration continued late into the night, with society families mingling with staff families, barriers breaking down over shared stories and garden fresh food. I watched Olivia dance with the groundskeeper's son, teach Yale-bound Emily the secret to perfect macarons, and proudly show off her calloused hands to anyone who asked. Later in the quiet of the rose garden, she found me doing one final check of her special blooms. "Thank you," she said simply, kneeling beside me to deadhead a spent flower, "for not giving up on me when I was my worst self." "That's what gardeners do," I smiled. "We see the potential bloom in every thorny bush." "And mothers?" she asked hesitantly. "What do they do?" "They nurture that potential, even when it means letting their children feel the thorns sometimes." She hugged me then, getting soil on her graduation robes and not caring a bit. "I love you, Mom."